and welcome to the stream. Today I'm going to build a Visual Studio extension for Windows for Build Light. So if you don't know what Build Light is, it's something that Frank's been working on for a couple of weeks on his stream, and basically it's a way of hooking into the build events in Visual Studio, and if it's successful it turns some lights green. If it's failed, then it'll turn the lights red. It was built for the Mac on his stream because that's what he uses. Predominantly I use a Windows machine, so I thought it would be fun to build the Windows version. So the code is on GitHub, which I'll be adding to at some point once we're done. But first I'm just going to build everything locally, and we're going to do a PR later. So I've already started building the Windows version just to try and get a few things working ahead of time. There's been a few issues getting it to connect to an instance, but currently if I show you another console app running, if I rebuild the code, you can then see in the logs that begins the build, it shows some information, and then it says that the build was true and that it's successfully built. If I run it again, it should be break to cancel the build. If we check again, we've got false and some more logs. So if we stop this now, I can run through the code. So to build a Visual Studio extension on Windows, you'll need to add the SDK for Visual Studio to your install. So just run that in the installer updater for VS and choose it, and then when you go to build a new solution and add a project, there should be a VSIX project type you can add. That'll add in a package file and then the manifest file. So in the package file, what you'll want to do is add an attribute for auto load, which means that this extension will attach as soon as the solution opens and that you run with it. You don't have to actually say go to tools, run a command. Just close the videos in the background I left up. Otherwise you've got to hook into the actual, like, add a command to the project, and then when that command runs it'll hook into these and you can do what you need to do. So with the package, if we look at the original code from Frank in the Mac version, there's an IDE app, and then you can get the project operations and the start build and the end build. When it starts a build, it'll use this device client. That's just a API caller which calls the ESP32. Use the Arduino app to deploy a mini web server to a little device. So if we have a look at that, you've got a little device there, which you just need to hook up to some LED lights, and then send it red, green and blue, and that will change the colours based on the endpoint that's been built. So I can show you that code if you're interested. It's just setting it all up, writing the pin colours, and flicking the colours over. And then when the build finishes, if it's successful, then we set the colour to green. If not, set it to red. So we need to replicate this in hours. So code's a little different because it's the Windows version, so you need the DTE, you need events, and you need the build events. So if we get the service for the actual app, just do a check that it's not null, then set some events that we've created to the events of the app, and then we can finally get the build event. There's 4 different events that we can use. So there's the on build begin, on build done, and then there's each individual project configuration that has a begin and done as well. So the build event, we could log something to a log file or set up the client that we need, and then on done you can actually see what type of action was done, so we could kind of ignore clean and deploy because we don't use them. But this doesn't have the state of the build. It just, even if it's cancelled or if it's the build is successful or fails, we don't get that response like we do in the Mac version. Instead, we want to use the configuration for each project, and as you see, that's got a output of success, and we can use that as our way to determine whether we actually want to change the colour of the light. So as you saw before, we'll run the IDE again, and this will spin up a kind of experimental version of Visual Studio to test your plugin / extension. And now I've been having some issues where this doesn't actually attach. I need to look into more why that's happening, but we'll see if it works this time. So if we build this, and then jump back and have a look at our output. Yep, it's taken a little while, but try another build. And in the logs we've got the true. Okay. So now that we know that we can hook into the event and get whether it's success or not, we want to then call the API. Now I've been having issues getting the Arduino ESP to run. It's been a little temperamental on my one, so instead I've built a quick API just to speed up things a little and test it on there. So it's just a color controller and it passes in the RGB, much like the build light device that we've got here. So you pass it to colour in post, and we'll get back the different colours. So if I set this and run it, we can then pull open Postman and test this endpoint. If basically just created a new app in IIS, bound it to buildlight.local, and then the endpoint initializes with just zeros for the 3 colours. If we check the requests, we've got the test just so you could see it in the front end, and then the actual post methods that you actually post to. You can see it hits it, and we've got red, green and blue. Change it for blue. So you change it for green. Green. Okay, so we know that that's working. Toasted, published, so don't need to run it in debug for it to work. So if we have a look at the original code, we've got the device client, so this would want to move into a separate library so that we can share it across projects. So if we build a new class library, just do it on that framework one. I'm going to do it 4.5 just because that's what the Mac one's got, and call it common. Create a new class, device client, and then we'll just do some copy pasta, which you should never do because that's how you put in bugs and errors. And then we've got the new C#. Added threading. For now, we'll just debug this and decide on a shared logging mechanism. Future. And now let's add a reference to a common library. And then we will set up a new device client. And then we're going to have a look at what build event's doing. So got some cancellation tokens. and then we can do the same 100 start. Which just sets the colour. And we'll just print this for now. Tidy that up later. And then in the actual end build, we need to move this to here. And instead of there, run it again and see if this works. Build this. The logs for this. And we're on the fun one. Doesn't always catch. There we go. So and set color's gone through. It's gone red, green. So that's the first one. Let's hit and the initial one. 255, 255. And now it's been successful. See, it's hit the first one there. It takes a few seconds. Fire stroke did those logs, but that seems good. So if we go back to this one, we'll try again with a build failure. So again, it's the 2 set, and then it's gone green again. Why did it? And this time it's red. That's what we wanted. Okay. So obviously now it's fun when we're not seeing the lights change, but I'll have to look into that and try and get the thing up and running. Basically, if we're looking for feature parity, we've got it calling the build event. It's toggling it's printing out the information we wanted. So I'd say we're looking quite good. So if we change to release and build, it doesn't like crashes. I'm going to open the solution folder, check the bin release, and we've got our VisX. Let's just copy that out, rename it to zip and have a look inside it. Formatter, great. So packaged. That all looks good. So technically we're going to install this now. And then see what. There's some other settings we can change. Build an icon, preview image, add some tags in, maybe put some release notes in there, readme, or just use the readme from GitHub. Maybe add a guide and some more info. Could possibly add different editors, so Community, Enterprise Pro. Shut down VS. Wait a few more minutes for this to happen, and then I can create a new PR for this offline. I'll not bore you with watching that, but if we open up VS again, and then pick create a new one. Wait a few seconds and see if this actually running in the logs. Now I know on Frank's I had to restart Visual Studio after we'd installed the extension. I think there's even a note in the README that says that. So we'll do the same here just in case. And then we'll try rebuild. Try another build with a field. Yep, there we go. So we've got green and red first, and then try and green on it. go great. So we've got the initial setting, both red and green, and again green, and then we'll make a full unit. Build it again. See if this pops up. So we've seen one failed. Is one enough to count as a success? Green's working. Good. Red. Okay. Let's count that as successful. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I think we've done okay today. I'm gonna call that an end for the first stream and see what happens on the next one.